With dying wishes and somber farewells on the cards next week in the nation's biggest soaps, you might want to make it your mission to stock up on your tissues. Laura Nealon's health rapidly deteriorates in Coronation Street, and she tells Gary Windus she wants nothing more than to hug Kelly one last time, but with only hours left to live, will she get her dying wish? Linda Carter, meanwhile, makes her long-awaited return to EastEnders, and a showdown quickly ensues between she and love rival Janine Butcher on the day of Tina's funeral. Emmerdale sees Meena Jutla take great delight in knowing that Manpreet Sharma has decided to testify, as she prepares herself for the performance of a lifetime. Over in Hollyoaks, Goldie McQueen reckons that Silver is trying to communicate with her from the great beyond. For all this and more, metro.co.uk is the place to be. Your soap needs, so if you're desperate to know what's coming up, you've come to the right place. Coronation Street. Gary visits Laura in hospital and is shocked by her deterioration. With tears in her eyes, Laura admits that she'd give anything to be able to hug Kelly one last time. Will Gary does his best to persuade Kelly to see her mum, just as the teen leaves with Maria for the hairdressing awards. But things take an upsetting turn, as Gary receives a call from the hospital, warning him that Laura has only hours left to live. Toya struggles to come to terms with the news about Imran and Abby, and thus she has to make some decisions regarding Elsie's adoption. Abby, meanwhile, finds Toya in the neonatal unit gazing at Alfie in his incubator. Imran is forced to say an emotional goodbye to Elsie, but is later adamant that he will help Abby fight to keep her son. Toya, however, could end up derailing his plan, as she reveals that social services have reported him to the Solicitors Regulation Authority for his involvement in Abby's custody battle. John shares his plans to open a beach bar in Australia, but Emma is stunned to realize she visited the same beach as a kid. He suggests that she move to Australia with him, but matters are complicated when he later rocks up at her flat, leaving Faye in shock. But what will this mean for Faye, Craig and Emma? EastEnders. Linda waltzes back into Mick's life on the day of Tina's funeral. It doesn't take long before they're at each other's throats, as she spots Janine, and comes to realize that she's the very same woman who encouraged her to divorce Mick. The landlady causes a scene at the crematorium, before confronting Janine in the Vic, calling her out for what she did. But Mick's loyalties appear to lie with Janine, as he informs her that he wants to be with her when the divorce is finalized. Linda, meanwhile, makes things worse for herself, as she confronts Frankie, and delivers some very harsh words. Zach ultimately decides to skip the cooking competition so that he can support Nancy on the day of the funeral. Linda's presence causes chaos, and thus Zach proves supportive. Nancy, however, instructs him to back off. There is more animosity to come, as Nancy finds out that Linda stayed the night at Sharon's, but she soon discovers that Zach missed his competition for her, and therefore she's riddled with guilt as a result. Jean sets her sights on reuniting Rocky with his former flame, as she punctures Kathy's tire, before locking the duo in the car lot. Harvey comes to the rescue, but Jean's attitude about it all leaves Kathy upset. Rocky, however, is more forgiving, but Jean mistakes his friendliness for flirtation, and subsequently she follows him into the toilets. Emmerdale. Meena is determined to walk free, but she also delights at the thought of putting on a show in court. Manpreet, meanwhile, decides to testify, accepting Ethan's offer to help her prepare. Meena finds out about her sister's change of heart, and she's excited, ready to blow everyone away with a show-stopping performance on the stand. Manpreet wonders what Meena is up to when Wendy is called as a witness for the defense. Meena's charm with the prison officers pay off as she receives a smuggled newspaper, excited to see herself on the front cover, and she savors the thought of facing her sister in court. Kim is seething when Hazel, Andrea's mum, reveals that Millie is not attending Thomas' christening. Certain that Hazel is up to something, she urges Gabby to delay the christening. The situation causes conflict, with Gabby refusing to postpone, but ultimately the duo agreed to hold off until the following day. Gabby, however, has an extra special surprise in store for Kim. Chloe and Naked cozy in the pub, and one thing leads to another, as Chloe spends the night at Nate's. Nate is embarrassed, doing his best to avoid Chloe, who wants to spend more time with him. Noah, meanwhile, catches Chloe heading home from Nate's place. When she refuses to go for a drink with him, he's angered by the lack of reward for his apology. Hollyoaks. Goldie is convinced that a litter of acorns are a message from Silver, and she discovers a spiritual talent. Luke and Tony are enjoying the peace and quiet, making rather extravagant plans for the former's stag do. Mercedes rocks up on the hunt for something, but it appears as if she gets distracted by Goldie's plan to make contact with Silver. Luke and Tony get dragged in the whole thing too, with the former finding it all rather funny.